Hello everybody, welcome to my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode 2 here for the Australian Grand Prix in my first season. Hoping for a good outing in Australia, in Melbourne, and hoping just for some, I don't think we're going to get any points, but just to be able to get close to the top 10 would be great. As you may have saw, we do not have enough R&D points right now to upgrade the car anymore. We spent them all on the last episode during preseason, but here we are in qualifying. I'm not going to show you the bit of practice I did to get extra resource points, but we just hope for a great position during the race. And here's my first lap during qualifying. I gotta admit, it wasn't the best lap as I slowed down just to get a good exit for the first DRS zone for the main straight. And I don't think I'm gonna do too well. Australia is not my favorite track. I don't do too well at street circuits. It's not really the layout I like, but just have to get through it. Hopefully we can get a good position. I keep saying that, but it's our first race. We're just hoping for really. I don't ever have any qualifying pace. It's the race pace that really matters. But I did see that during the race it is scheduled to be raining, so that's going to throw a spanner in the works, but hopefully we can get through it and move our way up the field, considering we're probably going to qualify super low, this being probably one of my worst tracks. Among the other ones, probably Zandvoort and Hanoi, as I butchered that chicane, jumping pretty much over the curb, taking way too much curb on that line. It's not my favorite track at all, but I'm just really hoping, just to out-qualify my teammate on this one. As we have one of the Red Bulls behind us on the mini-map, not doing too much, just hoping for a good lap. I feel like I have good race pace, enough to move up the field from where I'm probably going to be, but as we enter the final few corners, I'm not really hopeful, definitely after I lost time on that chicane. And last time as we run really wide there and take most of the curb on the outside. As we cross the line, it's at the moment P5, as we actually above our teammate. This is great news for the team so far. We're above the Williams of George Russell so far, but everything's probably going to change in the second lap. I'm not counting on us making it into Q2. Just having enough pace to be my teammate would be great. As we move on throughout the session, we just drop lower and lower behind Grosjean, behind Raikkonen, but we are ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Giovinazzi and the Williams of Latifi. As we move on throughout the session, we drop down to P18 as Jack Aitken actually moves up to 16th, our teammate, hopefully not out qualifying us, though he does improve by almost a second. There's a lot more pace in this car as Aitken, our teammate, improves, and hopefully we can showcase that in this running, our second run in Q1, hopefully being able to just leapfrog our teammate and out qualify him. Right now we're in P19 as Russell and Giovinazzi are still behind us. Looks like our teammate is right now on his in lap on the min map, but as we start our first and final lap of Q1, just a bit of a worse exit as we hop over the first turn, the first corner, but we are improving by a lot. And as we move along in the head of the lap, just using more of the curves on the outside to gain that extra tenth. But here we are, 6 tenths gain, 7 tenths gain, 8 tenths gain, just gaining time throughout this lap. Hopefully we can beat our teammate. This is looking that way, but we do hop over the chicane once again, losing time on the exit, just dropping down probably by a tenth by the end of the straight, hoping that we can set in a good lap. Now in sector 3, saying 2 green sectors throughout the first and middle sector. Here we are then, again, we're only 5 tenths up, and as we just go wide on the turn, we damage our front wing, hit the wall, we're losing time all the more. As we cross the line, qualifying ends, it's only good enough for P20. It's not a good position for the race, but hopefully we can recover from it. We got out qualified by a teammate, I'm pretty sure. As we go down the list, Jack actually makes it into Q2, so that's a great first outing for our team. It's not good outing for us, but our teammate does do well. I mean, as both his manager and teammate. You can't be mad at him. It's as a teammate you want to beat him, but as a manager you want to see him succeed and the team succeed. We do out-qualify the two Williams of Latifi and Russell, so hopefully we can do better in the race as we head straight to the grid for the Australian Grand Prix.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.3-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 16 corners could prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. Watch out for a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula One, and yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, and Vettel, Perez, Leclerc, Stroll, and Lando Norris. Sainz, Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Kvyat, Magnussen, Aitken, Kimi Raikkonen, and Roman Grosjean. Giovinazzi, the engineer, Latifi, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Here we are then on the grid, P20, to start the Australian Grand Prix in this second episode. It's going to be one stop today on inters. It's going to rain throughout the whole race. We're going to aim for the one stop, two stop. It's just going to be a bit slow. So we're going to try 14 laps on first stint, 15 laps on the last stint. Try to keep it nice and even, split down the middle. Just hoping that the tire wear doesn't affect us too much. Has the maximum tire wear. It's probably around lap 18 according to the stats. So just hoping as we lower the fuel that we can good start off the line, make up a few positions that we lost during qualifying. I hope that our race place makes up for this poor P20 as we go to 5 red lights on the grid for the Australian Grand Prix in Season 1. 5 lights around, we're underway. It's a mediocre start for us, right behind Grosjean. We try to get a slipstream, but it cuts us off. We want to go down, dive down the inside. We're on the inside of what looks to be our teammate Aitken, and it says we have 2 illegal overtakes. Apparently hopping the curve is illegal, going off the track. As we go down to P21, what was a great start has now ruined us as we dive down the inside of both Grosjean and Russell. And as we go side by side with Grosjean on the outside in the Haas. Now we're on the outside for this turn, trying to make our way around. We get the traction down, making it, and just able to edge it out as we use all of the curb and even go on the grass a lot. As it comes back at us, we dive down the inside again, not wanting to give up this P19. But we have now a 2-second gap to Giovinazzi, and probably Grosjean's will be on us throughout the whole way. We do go a little defensive into the chicane, trying not to give back this position. We're just one position up from qualifying, but I think we may have the race pace to catch up to Giovinazzi. All it is to do now is to focus on the race, not focus on what was supposedly illegal overtakes. It was a little bit edgy around the inside, maybe cutting the corner. We'll have to see as we make contact with Giovinazzi as we catch up to him on the replay. and no penalty there, surprisingly. But we do go on throughout the rest of the race. A little bit of oversteer on the exit to the main straight. The car's not feeling too well. Like I said, this track isn't my favorite, so it's even worse in the rain. But we're trying to stay on the back of Giovinazzi. We kind of carried Grosjean with us. But now on the back of Giovinazzi, going into lap 4, just trying to stick to the back of him. And we have ERS on, rich mix flowing, but we just get a tiny bit of oversteer on the exit. We don't have quite the engine power with our Honda power unit to beat the Ferrari powered engine down the straight. So here we are, and we see our teammate ahead. He's a little bit slower than Raikkonen ahead of him, but if we beat our teammate, that's a win, considering he qualified P16, and hopefully we'll be able to do better. As the yellow flags are up ahead, this is the end of lap 4, saying a red middle sector. Now with yellow flags, trying to stick on the back of Giovinazzi, heading down the straight, and running out of ERS, but we do leave rich mix on. Then the ERS, Giovinazzi does brake check us, as it looks to be Stroll stricken on the side of the road, and it says past Giovinazzi, we don't. But a full-blown safety car is called out, and this is great. What was a big gap between probably Aiken and Raikkonen, and the big 2-second gap that I mentioned earlier in the race while we were fighting Grosjean, all this basically reset. And hopefully we can get a better start than we did in the grid start in the beginning of the race. Here on lap 5, just hoping, as you see, I try to ask my engineer if it's going to be raining anymore, if the rain's going to let up anytime soon. He did tell me, Jeff, that it's going to stay for a while. But if anything does happen, we do want to commit to this one stop. The tires don't feel too bad, as we just want to keep the temperature up, try not to make any mistakes. We're on the back of Giovinazzi, trying not to get any penalties, and I just jinxed myself. Of course, we get a 5-second penalty of what didn't even look like contact to me. It was just a tiny nudge, and we get a 5-second penalty for that. It didn't even damage my front wing at all. It was just a tiny tap, and it made no sense to me. But now we have even more work to do. We're in P18, 5-second penalty, under the safety car, so everyone's going to be bunched up. What was an advantage for us is now our disadvantage with the safety car. And just hopefully we can power through this and make up a few places. We're not going to get any points, of course, but of course the main aim is to beat Aiken, beat our teammate. That's the limit we want to set, and just power on through the race with this penalty. So here we are on the back of Giovinazzi on the safety car restart. As you see in the replay, we get a little bit squeamish on the rear end right before the straight, and we just get no power down at all. Giovinazzi builds kind of a gap to us during the straight. Grosjean doesn't have the engine power to try to overtake us on the main straight, but we do get a pretty good exit, and just kind of in the middle of both Giovinazzi and Grosjean as we were for the first few laps. Just wanted to power through this. It was a bad start. We in P18, at least we made up 2 places, so that's probably the good we can do for right now. But at the moment, we want to do better. We want to get past Giovinazzi. We're sitting tires in the Alfa Romeo's rear ring, so let's try to get a few more positions. We have Giovinazzi right ahead of us using ERS, DRS. We're going to go for a big dive bomb into the turn, and it's just done beautifully. Just squeeze him on the outside. Grosjean looking to attack him, and Grosjean on the display looks like he has him, and we just gave Grosjean a position. So here we are. Next is our teammate Aiken. He's our next target. We do still have this 5-second penalty, and I don't think it's a drive-through penalty. Hopefully it's not, so we don't have to wait. But hopefully we just get the power down, build a gap to the other cars behind us, and be able to overtake our teammate with pretty much more than 5 seconds of a gap. As you did see through that turn, we get a little bit squeamish on the rear end. That might be a sign of tires going off. Here on the next lap, we go through the corner, and we've absolutely done it. the replay camera doesn't show it well, but just that getting on the curb, too much oversteer, didn't control it as Russell runs into us, Russell or Latifi. Here's a view from Grosjean, just getting on the curb a bit too much, getting the power down too early, and just spinning, going, there's nothing I could do. It's just getting on the power down too early is my mistake. Here's a view from, looks like either Russell or Latifi. Just, I didn't see him through the spray. I should have saw him, but just kind of ruined both of our races. I didn't take any damage from the initial spin, so I just didn't see him. No, you couldn't really move out of the way unless it was onto the grass from right here. And by the time he just chose to run in for me right there, there's not much I could do. I run into the wall, damaged my front wing, kind of ruins both of our races, but now we just have to get back to it. The virtual safety car was called out, so that helps a little bit, but the damage is done. Down to the last place, P21. My engineer does tell me that maybe we can go for a 2-stop, but I want to stick to this 1-stop and not waste time on a pit stop. I'm feeling good even with this broken front wing, as Latifi may have more damage as we catch up to him very quickly. Stroll is still out, so we're not completely in last. It just kind of hurts. As we run into the back of Latifi, he's going very slow on this fast speed chicane, and even though he's slow through the corners, he does have that Mercedes engine, so we can't get him on the straight, but we're going to dive bomb him, not wanting to lose any more time, as we gotta get the hammer down. We have a, it looks to be a 10-second penalty from Latifi and us collide with each other, and there's not much more we can do. My engineer wants me to pit, but not right now. We got to stick to this 1-stop. With tire wear, it's not feeling too bad. Hopefully we can make it to the end of the race and hopefully make up a few more positions. Latifi does pit, so we don't really have to worry about him too much. He's most likely probably doing a 2-stop if he's doing it this way. But we do have a 10-second penalty. That's going to take a while for us to handle. Just hoping we can catch up to at least Russell or Giovinazzi. Just maybe recover, spare a little bit of our race. As we go wide on that turn, not doing very well on these tires anymore on lap 11. So on the end of lap 12, it's time to come in. You see we go wide near the final corner. The tire wear is starting to hit us, the front wing isn't helping at all. So we go in, still gonna do 1-stop. We don't wanna try to do 2-stop, lose any more time than we have to. And it looks like we do have to serve one of our penalties in the pit lane and hopefully just try to recover it. I do not think Latifi's gonna pass us. He was 31 seconds back, but we do have to serve either 10, 5-second penalty and replace our front wing. It's just painful to see. It's about probably 13.5 second pit stop, and we're probably not gonna. As I see the Williams of Latifi about to pass us on the straight, I don't want to let this go. It's kind of painful, but we just have to try to put our head down. Hopefully, just be able to power through and catch up to Latifi, as we do pretty fast actually. As we pass him on the straight pretty easily, even with that Mercedes power engine, just getting a better exit than him and just outdoing him on the turn with these fresher tires. And hopefully, just it's all about hope this case. We just want to be able to not even score some points, but just catch up. As we do have yellow flags up ahead, as Leclerc is out of the race, and just another DNF, but so both Stroll and Leclerc are out with probably an engine failure, one of the mechanical failures that only AI can get, which I understand a little bit, but it's kind of painful to see that maybe that can happen to my teammate, but that can't happen to me at any point in the race. But in this case, we just got, again, put our head down. We're in P19, so that's one position gain from DNFs. As you see on the leaderboard on the top left, everyone's starting to make their pit stops now. Everyone most likely doing that 1-stop as they're pitting on lap 14. So let's see how much of a gap is to Russell and Grosjean now. It wasn't too big of a gap last time, but now it's 40 seconds. we gotta put our hammer down as the gap does start to adjust itself. It does go down a little bit. It goes down about 20 seconds, but we just gotta put our head down. Once again, all it's based about is it's a recovery drive. We just gotta make up positions that we lost on the spin, but it really doesn't matter. We lost too much. We still have a 5-second penalty, so we are gonna pull away from Latifi, but we have that 15-second gap to Russell. We do catch up to him later on in the race. 2 green sectors on the first and middle. Of course, not saying a fastest lap as we do a bit poor on the final sector. But on to lap 23, skip a lot. It's pretty boring, just making a bit more better pace. But I do catch up to Russell. Want to go for a dive bomb, trying to make a place where we overshoot it. It was horrible. It probably could have braked a little bit earlier to get the overtake done, but it forced to cut the turn a bit. It's just painful to see. Just getting desperate. Just wanting to make up more positions. Getting desperate, getting impatient. I don't want to stick behind this Williams any longer. As on the end of lap 24 on the 25, we're on him again, kind of running out of fuel, kind of not, on the teetering edge, so we stay on standard, just trying to overtake him. It isn't that Mercedes engine, but we are slowly but surely catching up to Grosjean, staying behind the Williams. So hopefully it's kind of a horse and carriage situation. Hopefully I'll be able to do something as I have a little look on the inside, a bit too far back to go for that one. Trying to get a better exit, not going for the dive bomb on that one again, just trying to get past him any way I can, because I know I have the pace to catch up to Grosjean, maybe even overtake him, but I just can't do it with the Williams right here. Here we are again on the same straight. I overtook his teammate. We need to get past him. We're just going for a dive bomb, dive down the inside, but it doesn't work. We try to get traction, but the traction's not there, and it was just getting desperate. We really are just trying to dive bomb and trying to make up positions as we're right on the back of him now. Just wanting to get a good exit, hopefully get a good exit off this corner. Wanting to overtake him as we're getting the rear end a bit squeamish and just not be able to get the power down to stay on the back of Russell. Hopefully maybe we can get a good exit out this corner as we do take it pretty good, but get ERS on a bit, turned on a bit too much, the power down too early, and it just builds up the gap once again out of pretty much slipstream range. And once again, it's all this wasted time, wasted laps, as Bottas sets the fastest lap. We're not even in the same league. Basically, it's just on lap 26. We probably could have caught up to Grosjean, maybe our teammate by now, but we're just staring at the rear wing of this Williams, and it's a bit frustrating. So we just gotta go again. Hopefully be able to overtake him sooner than later, as we're now at the end of lap 26 on the 27. Just wanting to go for this overtake again. We do seem to get better traction than the AI out of that first corner as we ride the curb pretty dangerously. As we're now in the slipstream, rich mix going, ERS. We're gonna try to dive down the inside. It does stick to the middle of the track. I didn't really know where he was going. That does damage my rear wing, but we don't want to give this up. It took too long to overtake him. So we took to the outside. There was contact made through that outside corner, and me going to the outside. I think he may have hit us and damaged his own front wing. I don't think we're gonna catch Grosjean and be able to pull a 5-second gap to him. So P18 is a maybe. We'll have to pull a 5-second gap within about 2.5 laps, as the tires aren't feeling too well. But we do have enough fuel to probably go through rich mix on the straights. Try to pull away. We do have almost a 1-second gap to him already. We just need to pull more than 1 second a gap, about 2 seconds per lap on Russell to try to just be able to get this P18. It's not much, but it's better than where we started, so it counts. We do have a almost 4.4, 4.5, as Bottas is the winner of the Australian Grand Prix. This is the final lap. We do catch up to Grosjean a little bit, but we're on the teetering edge of this time penalty, it's just gonna come down to the wire. As we do pull a bit of a gap, it's 4.7 tenths. It's a bit too close. We are kind of just on the teetering edge. We are pulling away what seems to be a tenth per sector, but now it is 5-second gap right there. It's just teetering back and forth as we get a better exit. It didn't repair his front wing as I didn't repair it. We are on our front left is just dying right now. At 73%. That is puncture territory. Just praying that we can make through the rest of the way while keeping this 5-second gap. I'm making it sound more dramatic than it is, really. It's not as dramatic as it is. Not like it's per points or anything, but it's better than we started. And as we still catch up a little bit to Grosjean, it doesn't matter. As we make it towards the end of the race, get almost a 5.5-second gap. I think we may be able to do it in P18, making about 2 positions in the race as we go wide on the corner. We don't suffer from a puncture, even though we are in that puncture range. As we again turn on rich mix, ERS, we do get a pretty good exit compared to probably Russell wherever he is. And we do pull that 5-second gap to Russell, being able to secure that P18, what was a horrible race for the team, or at least for me. But yeah, this is one to forget and just one to throw away for this season.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So after what was a very poor race from us, it just wasn't a good race overall. Aiken does make it up to P15, right behind Raikkonen, but just overall wasn't a good race. Didn't really have pace during that race. Didn't have really pace on the inters. Didn't just get down to business, dude. We weren't clean. We had a poor qualifying. If we were clean throughout the race, we probably could have passed Aiken. Maybe even got to P12, P13. But it is what it is. Bottas wins the first race of the season in Australia at the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit. And as Bottas wins the first race in Australia, this does make it interesting for the standings, as Red Bull, Max Verstappen, got second place, and it's just a checkered board of Mercedes and Red Bull. And that does make it interesting for the constructor standings, which we're pretty much not going to be a part of, and the driver standings too. Bottas, interestingly enough, getting the edge over Hamilton, and that does make it interesting to see what else is going to happen throughout the rest of the season, and just hopefully we'll be able to bounce back from this race. It was a very poor one here in Australia, and hopefully we can bounce back in Bahrain in round 2 of this My 10 Career Mode. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and please comment down below any other content you want to see on this channel, any sim racing that you may want to do. Please subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.